we help athletes develop proficiency, assisting their passion for the game they love. Today we got episode 110. This guy is a man of all tools. He has not just, he's an anointed guy, he's an author, he's a speaker, he's a mental wellness coach. He's also working on another book, but I'll let him tell you that. But also with that, he has some great things for your mental space for athletes. And if you're not an athlete, you still can get some of this great information. But this is a sponsorship by the YGP Publishing, the official publisher of my new book, Are You Really D1? Are you serious about taking your baseball career to the next level? I want you to visit, take notes, www.rud, the letter D, the number one, .com/. Again, that website is www.rud1.com/. If you want to get a copy of that book, it has great tools, truths, and guidance to the next level, becoming a D1 baseball player. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and kick right into it. But with that, I want to make sure you guys take notes because it's going to be a great episode. Episode 110. Jay Vince, how you doing, Jay?
I'm doing good. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm so glad to have you, brother. You are a jewel. I'm ready to go ahead and dive right into it. Since you're you specialize in NIL stuff, and that's where we're at in this day and time with athletes from every sport. And I want to talk about understanding the opportunity of NIL because a lot of kids, they think it's just money. Get the bag, get the bag. It's more than getting the bag. So I want to ask you this question. So how should student athletes prepare their personal brand before stepping on campus for that NIL deal?
Well, more so, I would say is building their social media platform, making sure that they are staying up to par with their social media platform, always posting not negative stuff but positive stuff, because at the end of the day, they are an influential person because they are in the spotlight, so they have to post things that they have going on. It can be from their family, it can be from their day-to-day life. Also, it can be from their sport that they play. And that's pretty much how the NIL will come because they're basically posting positive stuff. And a lot of brands look for positive things that these student athletes or even athletes are posting on their social media, because if they're constantly posting negative things, a lot of brands are going to overlook those student athletes.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I'm working with a young man at Michigan State, and I keep telling him, he's lazy. You're on social media, but you don't want to post. Why you don't want to post? Well, coach, I don't want to post because you're lazy. That's just the bottom line. I mean, that's what it is. But they want the money, but they don't want to put the work in. Which that leads me to the next question. What is one of the earliest mistakes that athletes commonly make with NIL stepping into the next level of NIL? And what do you think they should do to avoid those steps?
Um,
I just gave the audience, I just told the audience something, and I asked that with a backup. What's the early mistakes athletes normally make,
well,
and how can they avoid them?
well, I say if they're not posting, then they're not visible.
Oh, okay.
And like you just said, sometimes athletes can be lazy. Sometimes they may not want to be visible on social media. They just basically want to just not be anywhere on social media or spend all their time on social media. But if they're looking for NIL deals, that's where a lot of people go to. They look at their social media presence.
Okay.
They look at their followers that they have. They look at the content that they're posting within their social media. It can be Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Pretty much these are the platforms that most brands look at and see what student athletes are posting. And I'll say just stay visible to our student athletes, because if you're not visible, you're not gonna know much about the NIL, or even just not just know much about the NIL, but if you're not visible, people who are trying to uh, give money as far as like their different brands they want you to represent, uh, if you're not being visible, uh, that's not the way to go.
That's right. It's like you're a ghost. Bottom line, you're just a ghost. If you're not visible, you're invisible, and if you're invisible, nobody knows you. That's something I've learned in college. They talked about marketing. If you can't position yourself to be seen, you won't be seen.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line. I mean, that's it's kind of like common sense, but we're not here to we're not here to bash them. We're just to give out the facts, give out the facts. So, with that, you got a lot of freshmen coming in, a lot of freshmen going to a 4-year college. What's one of the most important things athletes should understand about the contract, the compliance to protect themselves before they sign that deal? What are some things like they need to understand the contract and compliance? So, how can they protect themselves before signing that deal?
Well, they have to understand that most NIL deals it can be outside the school. Like sometimes it may be a conflict of interest with it being tied to the school. That's why most NIL agents they basically pretty much send the student athlete, they work with the student athlete, not directly with the school, but more so like one on one with the student athlete. And one thing that student athlete have to realize is that they still have to go through like compliance
Okay.
um,
Right.
through NCAA. And one thing you don't want to do is damage your name and even damage the institution name as well. So I'll say when it comes to the contract, they need to read the contract in its entirety and don't overlook the small fine print, because if you overlook the small fine print, you probably can be missing out on what it's saying.
Yeah, it's like a credit card. It's like a credit card, right? Read the little small print, what the small print saying, because if you miss a payment, it will be some extra fees that you may have to pay. With that, you see, you see the NFL. I'm sorry, NIL influence athletes. So how can it be a positive and a negative thing across sports today? Because we're seeing kids are getting $1 million contracts, $500,000 contracts. My question to you is, with this NIL life we have for athletes, my question is what is some of the positive versus the negative things that are happening in today's sports today?
Well, more so, I'm gonna speak from the mental side first. It can be draining. It can be depleting to certain student athletes, especially the ones who are not receiving NIL, and their teammates who are receiving all of these major NIL deals. It can be millions. It can be 1.5 million. It can be 2.5 million, whatever it may be in the millions. It can be depleting and it can be draining to certain student athletes who are not receiving NIL deals. But when it comes to the mental state, it can be psychological.
Yeah,
Um, it can
yeah.
do something with a student athlete psychic. So I would say pretty much most student athletes not to focus so much on the NIL, especially if they're not receiving it automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that because I look at what happened at University of Oklahoma. I believe this happened a few days ago. I saw the video yesterday
Okay.
where this guy who received an NIL, it was a huge NIL deal. He basically it was like a team meeting, and this guy basically had walk-ons who basically busted behind in practice and to get those starters like himself prepared for the games. He basically gave those walk-on athletes uh, pretty much a percentage of his
Mm.
NIL deal, not just one, but it was several walk-ons that he gave part of
Mm.
NIL deal too. And this was at University of Oklahoma. So
Mm.
I'll tell any walk-on player who are not receiving any NIL deals, don't let it tire you out. Don't let it burn you out. Don't let it mentally drain you. Just know that if that can happen at University of Oklahoma, that can happen wherever you may be at
Yeah.
playing at your institution.
Man, that's good. Boy, that's encouraging. You heard it from Jay Vincent. This is episode 110. He just gave you out a great nugget. I said you gotta take notes. This is the NIL expert and also mental health coach. So he's just breaking down some of the things for all these college athletes or also high school athletes are trying to get an NIL deal. If you don't have a deal, he's basically telling you how to position yourself to get a deal. With that, we're gonna go into the finance part. The money part, building smart money habits, because you know, and all that getting understanding. We got to understand that money is a tool. and it's a vehicle to the next destination. And we know over years athletes have burnt the money because of the lack of understanding, clarity, foundational principles for money. With NIL money coming in, what are the top financial habits would you say that they need to develop immediately?
I'll say a financial literacy coach, uh,
Woo!
because that's very crucial and very important, especially in this day and time of sports, whether if it's collegiate athletics or even professional athletics, even though the NIL is on the high school level as well as the collegiate level, but even professional athletes as well, everybody needs a financial literacy coach.
Right.
And even for those who play high school sports, I would basically tell the parents, if you don't have one, invest into a financial literacy coach,
That's
because
right.
the financial literacy coach would basically help you strategize and come up with a plan with how to invest and how to save with whatever NIL deal that your student athlete may receive. And even for college athletes, even for the parents, still invest into a financial literacy coach, because what you don't want to do is have all these athletes from age 18 and up, and even for the high school level student athletes, you don't want to have these athletes receiving all this money and then just blow it, but you want to basically just invest in and into a financial literacy coach who's going to basically teach you the ins and outs of how to invest and how to save and how to actually even give back to the community.
Mm. Wow.
Because
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm a firm believer, when you give back, you're going to receive triple of what you have gave.
Mm.
So it's always important to basically invest into a financial literacy coach.
I like that. Basically, you talking about the word of God. You said, first of all, wise counsel. Get wise counsel. That's biblical. Iron sharpens iron. So basically, if you're smart, get someone that's smarter than you. And I'm not talking about your parents, because everybody, well, I want to hire my mama because I ain't got to give my mama no money. We understand that game because we've been there before. But you invest in things that you think is important. That's something I learned a marriage ago. I was married before. I got remarried. I learned this before. You invest in what's important to you.
Yes.
So it's like going out there trying to be a boxer. You can box, but you need a trainer. you need a trainer because you going against these titans out here and these Goliaths. Yeah, you might be David, but you got to have the right stone to knock out David. So you need to strategize, and I appreciate you saying that because um, those who invest want to grow. The
Yeah.
people that invest, they grow. People that don't want to invest, they're not going to grow. So the money's not going to last forever. With that, I appreciate you saying that. But you heard it from the very own Jay Vincent. He's the mental coach. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a little sneak blurb. Hey guys, I want you to go ahead and go to Amazon right now and go ahead and get this book. It's called Moving Past Your Pain. So if you're having some pain with situations, emotional, mental, financial, go to Amazon. He didn't ask me to do this, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm putting a plug out. Go on Amazon and check out Moving Past Your Pain from very own Jay Vincent if you want to get past that pain, whatever that pain might be. So I like what you just said. Let's lead it to that next question. It says, student athletes need to understand how to balance NIL commitments, academics, training, and recovery. So my question is, how can they do that without burning out? because because that is a heavy task. So basically, you're going from high school with no responsibilities,
Mm.
being the girl, the top girl on the campus or the top guy on campus, and all you got to do is take out the garbage. If you take out the garbage at home, now you're going to college, and now you're getting. I'm just going to use a number. Let's just say you're making $500,000, but now you got NIL commitments, you got academics, you still got to train, you got to go to practice, and you got to recovery before you burn out. What are some things you can tell them to do?
Ooh, great question.
That's
Because
a heavy one right there,
for
boy. That's a home
everyone,
run right there.
because I find myself doing a lot and taking on a lot, and I ask myself, how am I able to do all this? But I can say this uh, from myself to others. who may be taking on a lot of responsibilities, even student athletes. Like with the NIL, you have to basically still uh, manage everything. It can be like a photo shoot, it can be like a video shoot. Um, it can even be trying to make sure that you stay consistent, whether if it's every day, every other day on social media, and just staying visible. Plus, having to balance practice, having to balance traveling when it comes to away games. Even the most important part with what every student athlete is at school for, which is to get an education.
Education.
And I'll say sometimes you have to take a back seat and from a lot of things and say no to certain things. And if you're constantly saying yes to everybody, that can be depleting and that can be draining and tiring. And a lot of times, from a personal experience myself, I had to say no to a lot of things because I was used to just say yes to a lot of things until I realized that I can't say yes to everything. I have to
Mm-hmm.
say no because if you're constantly saying yes to everything, it's gonna burn you out. And even on top of that, even during the off season, I would tell any student athlete, uh, if you're not doing anything, especially when you get time, like say for instance, for those that play football, you have the off season, which is in the spring, spring break. Your coaches basically give you spring break to travel, take some time to travel as well, and also just do that because if you do that, like you'll begin to see how you won't be so tired or burnt out. Then you'll come back with a better mindset. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
even you'll come back regrouped and refreshed to actually take on the next task with what you're trying to complete. That can be NIL, that can be education, that can be family, even family issues, family problems. Every student athlete goes through family issues and family problems where they may have lost a loved one, family member may be sick, and a lot of times they are juggling all these different things. And
Yeah.
um, I'll just say, just do the if you do those things, you'll begin to see how you won't be so tired or burnt out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm with you totally what you said, Jay. And also, I know we're going to talk about this. We're going to have another segment coming up later, but I'm gonna throw this one in because I used to be a mortgage broker, so I used to be into the finance world, and I've learned this from the past. You got to take some of that money, put it to the side, take money out, and there's the three S's. I call them the three S's: sow it, save it, and spend it. Spend it
Mm,
is last.
yeah.
You see how I said sew first, sew, and I'm not talking about needle and thread. I'm not talking about a needle and thread. I'm talking about sew into a church, God-fearing church. That's what I would do. You have your own choice to sow it wherever you want. Take a percentage, also at 10%, and also with that, save. A save can be investing. Save
Mm.
also is investing. Invest in something that's going to grow some dividends. And the last part is spend. And I also say, try not to spend, if you can't spend. But I just want to put that out there because I was an athlete and I knew what that felt like. I just want to kind of give you a piggyback on what you just said. So I'm going to go ahead and jump onto a couple more great questions because a lot of times these athletes, Jay, they going for the money. Back when we went to school, I'm going for the education. Yeah, I do want to play ball. But I know for sure I ain't gonna be able to play ball for 50 years. I can't play forever. But with that, let's talk about the graduation, the long-term vision. That's
So,
something that athletes don't really want to talk about. They don't talk about that no more. They talking about the money. I'm all for the bag. I'm all for the money. But with NFL providing all these income opportunities, why is earning a degree still so important as a student athlete? Would you say?
well, the reason why education is should be still number one, even though you're receiving NIL, because you could have a career injury any given time. I say that because there are several athletes who play sports that have a career injury. They may be receiving NIL money, but a lot of times they're long-term goal is to make it to the league, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they may have a career injury in college, which prevents them from going from college to the professional level and even continue to pursue their dreams and aspirations and goals. But what they need to have is a plan B, which
Mm-hmm.
is the education part. I learned from my older brother who played Division 1 football to always have a plan B,
Mm.
because if you don't have a plan B, what are you gonna fall back on? Because he a professional arena league during his time, which was in the early 2000s, had wanted to sign him, but he had a career injury during the tryout process, and
Okay.
he ended up having a career injury, which he was not able to play sports no more, and he
Mm.
ended up falling back on his education, in which he was able to do what he's doing now, which is basically teaching and even coaching as well. So I tell any student athlete to always get the education to
Mm.
get the degree that you are at school for. Because I can remember having a conversation with a former coach who I worked directly with, in which we had basically helped this student athlete. This was a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He had, I believe, he came from a single parent home, but he still had a relationship with his father as well. And we ended up getting him to go to University of Arkansas. And any professional team could have picked him up in last year's draft, but he decided to go back his senior year to work on his finish his degree, in which he's on track of receiving his degree. So plus he's on the NIL deal. So I
Mm.
said that to say that just as this guy uh, basically has an NIL deal, he went to school not to just play sports, but also to get an education as well, because he realized that his career can be cut short any given time. Not just a career injury, but even um sports may uh, his even though his arena is football, but a team may not pick him up. Even though,
That's true.
even though
That's
he's a
right.
top athlete, but I'm just being realistic here.
Right.
Like a lot of top athletes don't even go to the professional league. I know one guy, a good prime example. He was a top college athlete, and he went through the draft process, and nobody picked him up. But he signed on as a um,
Free agent.
free agent. Thank you. And he ended up went through the process of being a free agent for this organization in the NFL, just to get cut by this team.
Mm.
And now he's not playing for nobody, even though he played. Uh, I think it was Arena League. He played the IFL League, and he's trying to get into the NFL. But I said all that to say that y- everybody wants to go to the NFL, but everybody needs to realize that um, just because you're on a NIL right now, you may not go to the NFL, but you have to have an education, because when you have an education, can nobody take your education away from
That's right. That's right. I say amen to that because that's the truth. Because whatever's in your brain, whatever you've learned, they can't take it away. No
you. Yeah.
matter what someone tells you, you know what the truth is, what is fiction. I appreciate what you just said, Jay. You know, we got a few more minutes left. Um, but I want to ask you a couple more questions before we close it out. You know, with your experience and your advice and from all your expertise, you know, what advice would you give an athlete who's chasing that dream based on what you just said, what you just said, and he wants to be grounded, disciplined, and prepared for beyond life of college? It goes back to what you just said. I'm piggybacking your answers to these questions due to the fact that they kind of go together. You know, how do you prepare for life so they can stay grounded? You know, being an athlete, you learn certain traits as an athlete.
Yeah.
It's, it's, and how can you tell them to prepare beyond that? Because just because you're not a football player or a baseball player, don't mean you can't be a sportscaster. Doesn't mean you can't be a sports agent. Doesn't mean you can't be an author. So, how can you tell them to take that skill and prepare for life?
Well, pretty much what I would tell them is that everything that you learned, like life is a learning lesson. We learn every single day from things that we do well, even mistakes that we make as well. And even throughout the learning curve that we all learn, I'll tell any student athlete is to continue to learn, continue to be a learner. Also, for those who want to stay in the sports realm and sports industry, is to look at trying to be a sportscaster, look at
Yeah.
trying to be a sports reporter and sports anchor. Um, Even for those who like videos, look at being a videographer. Um, Even for those who want to be a sports agent, look at being a sports agent. Look at trying to represent another athlete that you may know. Also, not just not just sports agent, but even look at the NIL because we
Mm.
have a lot of NIL agents as well. So there are different ways and different avenues how athletes can stay within the sports industry, even being a coach as well. I know a lot of guys who I went to college with. They played collegiate ball. They played 1 or 2 years in the NFL, but now they're coaching on a collegiate level
Yeah.
in Division 1 football. Good prime example. I look at one of the guys who I had the opportunity of actually meeting my first year in college. That was his senior year. He caught a lot of heat of being a quarterback, but he ended up switching to be the wide receiver. And that year, they ended up winning national championship. Speaking of Cody Burns,
Okay.
played quarterback and wide receiver at Auburn, and now
Okay.
he's coaching. He has coached for several universities. He even coached in the NFL for the New Orleans Saints. Now he's back at his alma mater, Auburn,
Mm.
coaching as the wide receiver coach.
Mm.
And that's just one guy that want to use as an example that there are different ways of how athletes can actually stay in the sports industry.
Wow.
So,
That's encouraging, brother. That's a
yeah,
testimony. That's
yeah,
that's encouraging. I mean, that's you hit it perfectly. I couldn't have said it more better than you said it because I wish I'd have known you years ago. Years ago, you
yeah,
probably was a lot younger then, but
yeah,
you know what you're saying now is, I mean, you're speaking with such meek confidence, and it's just it's not hoopla.
mm,
It's just the truth.
yeah,
And it's like, okay, you better get it. That's why I said in the beginning of the show, this is episode 110. Your very own Jay Vincent, the mental coach. I call him the mental coach.
yeah,
And with that, I appreciate what you said because athletes and people, non-athletes, need to hear that because, like, as a boy, I'm just speaking for boys and nothing against women,
mm,
but I know most boys want to either be three things. They want to either be an athlete, a pro athlete, or they want to do music and also acting. They just think because those are the
yeah,
celebrity so-called jobs. But the question is, what do you do after that dream doesn't come? I think that's gonna be another book right there. What's gonna happen to the dream after it don't come?
oh,
Because if it don't come, life still goes on, man.
yeah,
Life still goes on, no matter how you look at it. So, this is my last question for you, Jay. Um, this is dealing with faith and family. I call it the Faith and Family Foundation. How important is faith and family when you're navigating the pressures of NIL, college athletes, and responsibilities? Because you're representing yourself as a brand on and off the field. So, how important is faith and family to navigate through all those pressures you're dealing with as a student athlete?
Well, I think that's very important because you have to have faith. Um, just as your family have faith, you have to have faith as well as a student athlete. Even with family, you have to also uh, put family second after God because God is first, family is second. So those two really go hand in hand because you have to have a firm foundation in your faith in order
That's
for
right.
you to know that you are good at what you do. Because if you're good at what you do, the NIL is going to come.
That's right.
And even with your family, You're going to have your family support. And make sure that I tell any student athlete, just as your family is supporting you, make sure that you hold your family down by basically sowing back into your family. Just as you mentioned earlier about sowing into a local church, which is very crucial and very important. The second part is to sow into your family because your family has been the one to basically hold you down,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you come from a two-parent home or a single-parent home, or even come from a household where your grandmother or grandfather, or even your uncle or your auntie or whoever may have raised you.
Right.
Always make sure that you hold them down because just as they held you down throughout your lowest moment, and when you was able to rise to the occasion of actually where you're at right now, of receiving that deal, NIL, it can be millions, it can be 500,000, whatever it may be. Make sure that you don't neglect the people who held you down and even who sold into your life.
Mm. Well, that's powerful right there within itself, man. Time is up. The time is up. The clock has done, and with that, Jay, I want to say thank you, man, for coming on. This
Yeah,
is Jay Vincent. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jay.
oh, thank you for having me tonight.
Man, it's a pleasure, man. A pleasure to be with someone like yourself that's bringing these truths about the mental health space, also the NIL space, life space, academic space. We've hit quite a few in a very short period of time, but you have given us more than what most of us probably would expect. But with that being said, could you go ahead and give the listeners a closing remark and also your social media so they can reach out to you for services and any other thing you may have for them.
Okay, my social media is Instagram. That's I am Jay. My last name Vincent Vinson. My business is JV Athlete Advisory Services. So on social media, Instagram is JV Athlete Advisory. Facebook, if you want to connect me on Facebook, is just Jay Vincent. Even the business, JV Athlete Advisory Services, is JV Athlete Advisory. If you want to connect with me on Twitter, X, that's J Vincent 30, the number 30. And also LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn, that's J Vincent.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that coming in and going out. And we want to say thank you again for coming on the You Going Pro podcast. We believe we're the number one podcast that help athletes give them truth, how to be a pro on and off the field. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. But also, I got you. I'm finna go ahead and pull the trigger. I got you on Amazon. I'm finna pull the trigger and buy your book. So I'm waiting. I'm getting ready to get it right now. So I appreciate it, Jay. This is segment 110. We got another one coming in soon. So for guys and girls that say, well, this is a very short one. I know it's kind of short today, but we're gonna have part 2 coming very soon. And with that being said, the question is this. You've heard from the very own expert, the mental coach, Jay Vincent. He's also an author as well as a speaker. I want you guys to take everything he said today. And the question is this. Where are you being led? I ask this every time at the end of my show. Where are you being led? You got to be going somewhere, either going north, south, east, or west. My question is, where are you being led? Are you going north? Okay, my question is this. Where are you being led? Led stands for, the first letter in led is L. Did you listen to everything that Jay Vincent said today, the mental coach? He gave you some truths. He gave you some realities. He gave you some do's and some don'ts. Listen, faith comes by hearing and hearing the word of God. So listen. The second letter is E, EJ. E stands for execute. Faith without works is dead. That's in the book of James. So when you have something that God's giving you or a word of God, a word of encouragement, you need to act on it immediately. So that's LE. And the last letter is D, LED, led. Where are you being led? D stands for dominate. I believe that God's given us, all of these creatures, we're his creatures, human beings on this earth, the capacity to dominate in some line of work or some field in life. So with that being said, L stands for listen, E stands for execute, and D stands for dominate. Let's go. As I say all the time, closing out, this is Coach Larry, very on episode 110 with Jay Vincent. Stay ready, be ready, and get ready. Hey, good night. Have a good night.